Hello and welcome back to the channel. I've prepared a topic for you today. The title goes, the INTP's most valuable trait, not knowing. And if that doesn't sound valuable, well, let me explain to you why I think it is the greatest strength as an INTP. And I'll start by talking about a thought I was once inspired to share with my mom. I sent her this long text, and it was about confidence. And I said, you can be confident two ways in this life. One is, I think, the conventional way, which is by having these strong opinions and being certain about them. Two is by having no opinion at all, while also knowing that nothing can be definitely known. Deep, complete uncertainty. And upon reflection, I realized that this is something that is taught in modern spirituality movements, as well as if you look at Eastern traditional philosophy. This is something that is taught in like Buddhism and Taoism. And it's also a place of deep certainty that you can get to. The only place that uncertainty can exist is when you are stuck between these two ideas. Specifically, when you don't have strong opinions, but you believe you should. And when I was young, I spent the first 20 years of my life in that place. And so I was quite a tense and scared youth. Maybe you might relate. And I have two examples. One is when I was young, I was quite afraid to talk to people. And the reason why was because I I thought there was this mythical right way to have conversations. And I didn't know what it was. I had no strong opinions about what to say, but I thought I should. And so I walked around with this invisible rubric in my head about how to have conversations. And every time I would say something that I thought was wrong, I would run away. I would reflect upon it and think about okay, next time I'm going to make sure I say that. And this rubric made every conversation become not a conversation between two people. It became like a contest with myself. It became a performance. And so I avoided conversation as a kid. Example number two was I was quite indecisive. And the reason is because, once again, I didn't quite have an opinion about what choice to make, but I would look down one, I would think about all the reasons why it was good and find them. I would look down the other, I would see all these good reasons why it should be done. And having no strong opinion about this, I didn't know what to do. And for that one specifically, it was only I relearned this recently. I realized, once again, it's only after I realized that there is no 100% right decision that deciding became easy. Because, if there is no one way that's going to be right, then just pick one. And I really recently started relearn this recently. And it's had me start watching someone named Gary Vee a lot more recently, because I realized that all along he's been saying this. He's been saying, let me show you two quotes that I prepared that have really showed me Gary Vee sits in that second place. I told you there are two ways to be confident. One, the second place is no opinion at all and knowing that nothing can be definitely known. Well, I think Gary Vee really exemplifies that. So here's one quote by Gary Vee. The great blessing of my life is that I don't judge myself. That's great. I think that's beautiful. The second one is, there is no perfect decision. There's just life. And I reflected on, I really think the second way, having no strong opinions and also knowing that nothing can be definitely known, this is the INTP's natural place of confidence. It is actually where you can find your genius zone. And I wrote here, your genius zone is not knowing and accepting that. Another way of saying that is just like not having strong opinions. So if you're an INTP and you're plagued with indecision and uncertainty, good. That's actually where your true brilliance lies. You might agree and say that your natural state of belief is everything is a maybe. And I'd like to walk through the functions and explain real quick why this is true. So we can look at our functions and we can see number one, introverted thinking. This means that we're building these internal logical frameworks all the time. And two is extroverted intuition, which is we're exploring possibilities. We're constantly doing this. But here's the thing about introverted thinking. Your frameworks are based on assumptions that you choose. And NE, extroverted intuition, is constantly considering alternatives to those assumptions. So, naturally, you end up never certain. But that's not a flaw. That's actually your most valuable trait. And why? Because another way to say uncertain is you are open-minded, you are neutral, you are unbiased. You are a natural experimenter. You're not anchored to any one belief system or dogma, and thus you are free to explore and question and reframe everything constantly, which is quite a beautiful thing. And you might actually hear a lot of people say that's one thing they really like about you. Like you're always open, you go with the flow, you listen to anything. And I hold that is your superpower. Now, what do you do after you realize and accept that this not knowing is your superpower? Well, I'd like to share with you another quote. Lee Iacocca, he worked for Ford. I think he made a few of the most iconic Ford cars, like the Mustang, I believe. So Lee Iacocca is an ENTP, and he thinks a lot like us, and he has this quote. So what do we do? Anything, something, so long as we just don't sit there. If we screw it up, start over. Try something else. If we wait until we've satisfied all the uncertainties, it may be too late. Which is quite a beautiful ENTP thing to say. And that's something that I understand now, that this is a very natural thing for me too. No matter you're just not gonna know. You're just not gonna know. So now if you accept that, now you're free to explore, experiment, and learn rapidly. You don't have to have this an understanding of where you're gonna go next. Just choose something. Or as Gary Vee says, which I believe he's an ENFP, just don't judge yourself. Here's another Richard Feynman quote that I really like, and I'm sure I've talked about before. It goes, "Study hard what interests you the most in the most undisciplined, irreverent, and original manner possible." In other words, there is no path, just choose one. So the reason why I bring this up right now is because I recently got quite stuck, and I stopped and I wanted to wait for this magical logical reason answer to come to me to know what path to take, what decision to make. Because I thought that there was an actual answer to my situation, but it only got me more and more stuck. More and more stuck. And I realized, as I'm sharing with you, that this is because it's not in me to have strong opinions, to want to make a definite decision. Instead, the way that I naturally live is as if life is a giant experiment. If I let go of expectations, if I just test ideas out and I let the results that I see determine what I try next, then I'm living very much in my genius zone. I'll also add to this, a recent realization is if I do this and I move fast into the next iteration constantly, or I move fast into the next iteration, this is where I think I really become my best self, my most competitive self. Because if I move fast and I experiment 1,000 different ways without stopping, I'm naturally going to know way more than anyone else, right? So, what I've discovered or what I've realized, this is my current theory, is I'm naturally configured to run thousands of experiments, and I have no real idea right now which one will work, which is exactly how experiments should be. Just try one and then try another one. And then using the results that I see, I look at what I want to try next. So this is, the conclusion of this outcome of understanding that my greatest trait is not knowing. And the conclusion of that, of not knowing, is understanding then that whatever happens to the outcome, I can understand that it's not tied to me, and then I can just try again. One practical place I'd like to apply this idea to is my YouTube channel. I realized, upon reflection, that I've been trying to know how to do YouTube before trying YouTube, and I'm going to stop doing that and instead try things out, taste constantly, and then let the results drive future experiments. So I will provide more details on that in my next video, the YouTube experiments, and you can stay tuned for that, and I'll see you then.